Welcome to the Sustainable Clinical Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Sarah Smith. I am a practicing rural family physician and the charting coach. This is the podcast for physicians and advanced practice providers who are ready to step back from the busyness of their clinical day to share ideas, question everything, and redesign their clinical day. We are redesigning clinical medicine to create sustainable clinical days and create time for our lives outside of medicine. Join us for discussions with world experts who are helping design sustainable models of clinical medicine and the physicians or clinicians who have discovered or designed sustainable models of clinical medicine for themselves. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. November 2023 has been a very busy month so far. My patients are probably wondering where I've gone because I've been in the clinic very little in the last 3 weeks. What have I been up to? Well, I did travel across to Montreal to meet with the Family Medicine Doctors of Canada at their FMF conference that they have every November. It's a great place to be. I really enjoy catching up with the workers on the ground, the family physicians of Canada who are very busy in their lives, and they meet together in this conference. There's also a virtual component, but this was the conference where hundreds of them were gathering to be in community with each other and talk about the environment as it is right now for family doctors. So that was super fun. And I got to meet many of the charting champions who were there at the conference. I got some snaps with them, some selfies, which was super fun. I enjoyed that and went out for dinner with a good number of them over 3 nights. It was actually what I thought was going to be an easy week, ended up being quite long days because we feasted after the conference, which was wonderful. And it was great catching up with wonderful stars, the family physicians in Canada. I know all of you are important and I like all of you. Just the family doctors tend to be my peeps at the moment, right? Being a rural family physician myself and understanding exactly what that means in the day-to-day. All right, so what's up today? Well, then next, when I came back from Montreal, our rural hospital is launch number 7 of Connect Care. What does that mean? It means, for those of you in the US, we have brought Epic into our hospital as our EMR for the hospital. Prior to this, we were on paper, and Alberta province has been slowly integrating Epic, but we've called it Connect Care, our version of it, over the last 2 years, and we are launch number 7. So launch number 7 includes most of the remaining rural hospitals that are not yet on Connect Care, and all of the major city areas are already on Connect Care and have been for some time. Okay, what does that mean? Well, that means we have had a lot of transition, a lot of change. And as you know, change is hard. Change is energy taxing. It is so different to do workflow in a different way. And it's a good reminder to me for you, because what we're asking you to do when you're creating sustainable clinical medicine for yourself is to go ahead and redesign your day in a way that's more sustainable long-term for you, which of course means change. And change means effort. It means frustration. It means getting things wrong a lot. It means that you turn up and you have to do it in a way that is not the normal, not the easy and familiar. So, as you know, my story, I was years and years into the decades of doing family medicine one way. And that way was resulting in lots of evening and weekend charting and inbox work. The work of the day was being given to later. I'll do that later. Every little thing was later. But I didn't have any later. We don't. All of our hours are used up. So when we're leaving today's work until later, that means we're giving ourselves a second job. Another job of these tasks that have been left over from the day before. or weeks before or months before, depending on how it's going for you about your backlog, right? So this later required figuring out, when was I going to do this later? This second job that we're not actually typically getting paid for. What? Not only do we not like charting and not like having to do inboxes, we're now creating a full-time, almost, second job that we're doing voluntary. What? Yeah. For most of us, we've earned the money in the room with the patient. Then, if there's things left to later about this appointment, most of us are not getting paid for that work. Or if we are getting paid for it, still taking away from time when we could be resting or just enjoying ourselves, going out for a walk, going to that picnic on the weekend, taking the kids to that place that you wanted to take them without the guilt of incomplete tasks. When I realized that, I was a little bit annoyed at myself and that I was missing out on weekends and time with my kiddos who were getting older. And that, plus kind of colliding with, unintentionally, the coaching world, as I discovered a life coach accidentally while I was looking for a podcast to improve my motivational speaking for medical students. Well, it seemed to be a collision of goodness because I learned that I was in charge. I could achieve impossible things if I learned the skills of looking after me as I pursued new unfamiliar territory. I was listening to my original coach's podcast this week. She was doing a talk on mental toughness. And I thought to myself, this is a good topic to bring here to this podcast for this month, knowing what I'm doing in my day job with Connect Care coming to my hospital. Mental toughness. Now, I don't mean that we need to toughen up and endure. That is not what mental toughness is in the context that I'm talking to you today. Mental toughness is the signing up for ahead of time. I know this is going to be hard, but I want to do this. Okay? Not, I know this is hard and I just need to punish myself more, or this is hard, but I should be able to do it, and why can't I? So just keep in mind the context that I talk to you about when I'm talking about mental toughness. So when we are given opportunity to do things differently, we also are given the opportunity to have all the thoughts about it and turn up in whatever way we want. So let's keep this in mind when it comes to a new EMR coming to my hospital. It's coming anyway, right? I don't get a choice. I don't get to keep paper, even if I want to. The facts of my life with regards to the hospital are about to change. There's going to be a new EMR, whether I like it or not. It's coming. It has a launch day and it arrived. All right. All of the thoughts about this new EMR, all of my feelings about the new EMR are available to me. All of them. What we think in our head, no one can take that away from you. And those thoughts are both automated and adjustable. Optional. Automated. So, previous Sarah would have probably, I'm just presuming, decided to have a bit of a rant and rave about the new EMR only. Had an opinion about it that wasn't the good one. Would have been super mad and frustrated that I had to learn a new system and implement a new system against my will. that would have been what I considered the truth about having a new EMR put upon me in the hospital system. But remember, choice is available. I could have decided to just stop working at the hospital. That's a possibility. But of course, I want to work in our rural emergency department, and I want to work in the hospital seeing patients as inpatients. And I want to be able to do things like surgical assist or baby doctor at C-sections. So if I want to, then it means I also want to learn the new EMR, because the new EMR is going to be what's required to work at the hospital. So when I'm thinking, I don't want to learn the new EMR, it's going to be so hard, it's going to be so tough, there's going to be so much to learn, I'm going to be so bad at it, it's going to be so slow to get used to, it's going to be so miserable, we're going to have grumpy faces for 3 months. That was available, but the other side of it is, but I want to. I actually do want to learn this because I want to keep working at the hospital. Interesting. So both sentences were in my head. I don't want to, but I do want to actually show up and learn this. So given that we knew it was coming, we knew Connect Care was coming, we knew it was going to be a reality whether we like it or not, 18 months ago, I decided that I wanted to put myself, let's say, in harm's way. I wanted to immerse myself in Connect Care ahead of time. I wanted to do the hard of this new and unfamiliar thing intentionally ahead of time. I made a decision to take a locum position in a community a couple of hours up the road who were already using Connect Care and had been for some time. So their nurses were very good at it, and the doctor there needed a break. He was kind of the last man standing in his country town. So he was delighted to have someone helping out for 24 hours, and I was delighted, might be a little bit of an exaggeration. I was wanting to learn Connect Care enough that I could use Connect Care so that I could do this shift in this other community. So I was putting myself into a tough situation, into the hard of learning this EMR ahead of time. Intentionally, I wanted to do the hard, and I knew ahead of time that it would require work on my behalf to learn the system. It would require doing things in a completely different environment with a completely new set of tools, seeing patients I did not know, working with nurses I did not know. It was going to be a very hard shift. And I signed up for it. Why? Why would I do that to myself? It's because I wanted to have taught my brain exactly what this Connect Care meant ahead of time. I wanted the opportunity to have played with it in real time, to get used to it, and to start to let my brain learn it, ready for when it truly went live in my community. I wanted to put myself in the way of hard. When we first turn up at the gym and we start lifting weights, it's really hard. But if you're consistent and you keep going, you can learn to build those muscles to be able to lift harder and harder weights. Interesting, right? That if we decide that we want the hard because we want the results, and we show up and we do the hard work, we grow that muscle. Same with our Connect Care brain, and same with designing and implementing a different way of working in your clinical day to get a more sustainable model of your clinical day. You have already done many hard things. What you do in your day is hard. All of it is hard. And over time, you have practiced and listened to thousands of patients and practiced illness scripts until you feel more comfortable or more familiar with at least some aspects of your clinical day. Think about it. You weren't always a physician or a clinician. You grew over time into this person. You have done many hard things to get here, and you keep showing up to do hard things. You might think your job is easy, but it's not. Not for most of the people walking around on the planet couldn't just come and do your job for the day. You have a unique set of skills. You are already tough. You are already saying yes to doing hard things every day. So, mental toughness means, okay, I'm choosing to keep my hospital privileges, which means I'm choosing to learn how to do connect care. And in fact, I'm choosing to do this ahead of time so that I can have had an opportunity to see what it's like live, so I can help forge the way for my peers who are going to be doing it in real time in their community. Mental toughness, the ability to say, you know what? I know it's going to be messy. I know I'm not going to look like an expert on day one, and that's okay. I can look after me. I can tell myself, I know this is hard today. I know that this will get easier with time. I know that it will become second nature soon, but not today. When I went on that locum, I had done the training. I knew the basics. I knew how to get my way around that file, around that EMR, enough to be able to look after the patients, make notes about it, arrange aftercare, the things that were going to be needed to manage that emergency department. I had them, in theory, under my belt. Okay, let's walk in practice. I turn up on my shift and get a couple of extra pointers, a quick tutorial from the local doctor about Connect Care. So thankful to him for spending that time just showing me, navigating me around the system, make sure I was good to go, and then letting me loose. And off he went with his family for a weekend off. Yay, so good for him. Then my first patient arrives. Well, it felt like my brain was split in two, you guys. It truly did. I had computer and I had patient and patient care. Computer, patient care. At one point, I'm like, did I even examine the patient yet? I need to stop playing on this computer for a minute and just go back and look at the patient for a moment. Okay, hear the story, examine the patient, do my doctor brain part, physician work, illness script. What do I think is going on? What do I need to arrange for this patient? Okay, now back to the computer. Put all of that in there. Put in my order set. Put in my assessment. Arrange the necessary things I need to arrange for this patient. Turn back to the patient. Reassess the patient. It felt like day one of medicine all over again. I don't know how we survived that first year, but I know we had a lot of help. a lot of help. I'm very thankful to my guides as I was learning this system. Okay. The next 3, 4, 5 patients, the same. It felt like I truly had 2 full processes going on at the same time. I had a patient, and then I had this computer system. The patient, the computer system. Oof. Okay. My brain was exhausted. So exhausted trying to keep both balls in the air. Trying to navigate this computer system, trying not to get frustrated with myself and the computer as I try to navigate my way around it, and looking after the patient. Okay. Both of these. This was mental toughness. And all day, I reminded myself, we signed up for this. We want to be here. This is supposed to be tough. This is hard. It's supposed to be hard. Okay. I didn't let myself think this will be easy. This will be simple. This will be fun. I'm like, nope, this is just hard. And it's supposed to be. And I chose to be here. All right. So that was 18 months ago. Then it comes live to my local community. For the first few days here in community, we had some of these wonderful super users hanging around. The number of questions, you guys, I had so many questions. Why? Because I wanted to get to simple and fun and feeling like I was navigating my way around this system faster and easier. So every time I was trying to do things in my way, I'd be like, okay, come over here and help me. How do I do this? Easier, faster. How do I do this? Easier, faster. I've learned that coaches in my life, and I'm going to call the super user a coach. I'm not sure where he's from, but he is a slightly older than me physician. And he had a very wonderful calmness, just unflappable calmness about him. It helped that he didn't have any clinical responsibilities. He was simply there to answer my questions. And if he couldn't answer them, he could go and phone the people who could hopefully find out the answers for me. But knowing that I had somebody in my world who could just be there as a rock to say, it's all good. We got this. We will help you navigate it. Whew. So much better. So much better. It didn't have that same brain split into feeling at all. It's so interesting. I could actually see patients and write my notes, see patients, put in my orders, see patients, do the note. It felt like my brain was able to integrate them. It had worked. Going to that other community and having that experience of being the only physician in the hospital, navigating the computer and the patients, feeling like my brain was split in two, had worked. Because when it rolled out here locally, I felt like there was not that same level of different. It felt like I've done this before. This is familiar. This is possible. This is doable. I am still a learner. I'm letting myself be a learner. I am not fast or an expert at this program yet. But my level of question was at a different level than, how do I use this thing? I don't want to be here. I don't want to use this stupid computer. None of that was there. This was okay, it's here. How do we make this work faster, easier? What's my quickest way to do that? It's different. My brain was looking for solutions. I had showed up with a level of reckoning to say, this is not going to be easy. This is going to be hard. And I want to do hard. I know I can work this out. I know I can do it in a clunky way. And I know that I can start to get closer to, easier and adapted to the new workflow. So this is my challenge to you. It's looking at, what are we noticing about our automated brain? What we want to say, the automatic, I don't want to, about the new way of doing things. Whatever that is, you might have decided that you want to go after something different and wonderful for yourself. But the change in workflow is going to be something else. It is going to be tough, really tough. And you're not going to get it right even half of the time to start with. And then what else is possible? So you've got your automated response that says, this is too hard. I don't want to. Let's just keep doing it the way we're doing it. And knowing that mental toughness is something that you can sign up for. You can say, I want to do this differently so that I can have a clinical day that's closer to a sustainable way of working for me. And then walking into that day, having your own back, saying, this is tough and I want to do tough so that I can have a different result. This is tough. As I do this differently, it's going to become more familiar. I'm going to be able to exercise this muscle so that it gets easier to do it in this new way. What is unfamiliar will become more familiar if I stick with it. This might not be my way. I might not have found the fastest or easiest way to do this, and I will adapt if I find a simpler or easier way to do this. But for now, this is the step I'm taking and how I'm going to try doing it. This is that mental toughness, the ability to say, I can do hard things. And in this instance, I'm choosing to do a hard thing so that I can create something different about my day. All right, you guys, hopefully this has been helpful to you. And you can start to identify, where are you just simply not wanting to even think about it because it sounds too hard? And how can you start to be curious about whether it is something you want to tackle and the steps that you will take, and checking in on the sentences that you're using. Notice the automatic, I don't want to, it sounds hard. And then what is the language you're going to start to use for yourself to bring compassion as you do tough things? Before we go, I want to shout out to some of the reviews that we're having on the podcast. I really am enjoying reading the reviews that you're leaving for me in the Apple iPods or on Spotify or however else that you are doing this. So here is a shout out to OzFXMed. Such a lovely way with words. I have often listened to Dr. Sarah Smith on many of her podcasts with her lovely lilt to her voice and a curiosity to why people do what they do. She's generous in sharing her wisdom and strategies for sustainable medicine and how to get the workload done. I had highly recommended this podcast to anyone wanting to get some practical tools to keep them in the game. Thank you so much for the reviews. I look forward to bringing you more about these in the future. Have a wonderful rest of your week, everybody. Take care. Bye. Thank you for being part of the Sustainable Clinical Medicine podcast. If you'd like to learn more or join us to help you get home with today's work done, go to chartingcoach.ca. There you'll find all the information on the Premier Lifetime Access Charting Champions program that is helping physicians get home with today's work done, with all the proven tools, support, and community you need to create time for your life outside of medicine. We would love to see you there. Until next time, thanks for listening.